Beto, thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about immigration. As governor, what specifically can you do, will you do to stop the mass immigration of people at the border?
We're going to focus on solutions instead of stunts. So no more of this bussing or building a mile and a half of border wall. I want to work with Republicans and Democrats and whatever administration happens to be in power, Democrat or Republican in DC, to make sure that we have, for example, a Texas-based guest worker program.
Can you do that? Because it's typically the federal government that handles something like that.
We've seen Governor Abbott push the limit of what the state can do in the wrong direction. You know, marching migrants onto private property and having DPS troopers arrest them, or getting involved in deportation. What if we approached it from the solutions that will actually address the underlying issues? Like those who come here to work, there should be a safe, legal, orderly path to do that. Those who come to seek asylum or join family, the same. If we get that done, we're going to be so much more successful against those who traffic in fentanyl or smuggle human beings. They're needles in a haystack right now. Solutions allow us to better keep our fellow Texans safe.
We have a process by which you come into this country to become legal. What's wrong with the process?
If you're coming here from Mexico or India or the Philippines and you want to join a family member, the wait time is 20 years today. Now, it doesn't condone anyone breaking the law, but I understand why people might not want to wait 2 decades. To work a job here in Houston and find an employer who can sponsor you, navigate the bureaucracy, pay the price, too many aren't willing or unable to do that. What if we address that through a Texas-based guest worker program?
Does that mean that the time to become, say, a worker and eventually legal is much shorter?
Much shorter, and the important thing about a guest worker program is people who want to come here to work and earn are then able to legally return to their home countries. Today, if you come here undocumented, there's a disincentive in crossing back to your home country, so you ask your family to come up here and join you, and it's actually incentivizing more undocumented immigration to Texas and America. We do this the right way. People follow the law. We're safer, we're stronger, and we also address economic issues and needs that we have in Texas.
You have called busing asylum seekers north a stunt by Governor Abbott. We did a poll where 54% of Texans say they like that idea.
I think what everyone in Texas wants is a solution. And after 8 years of Greg Abbott and this chaos that we see on the border, after inaction from our representatives in Congress, people want to see something done. What if instead of these stunts, we actually had something that amounted to a solution? So whether it's a guest worker program or lifting the visa cap so we don't have 20-year waits, hiring more adjudicators, prosecutors, and judges so the asylum wait time is not 6 years, maybe 6 weeks, we do all those things, we start living up to our values, meeting our needs, and we're safer against anybody who does us harm.
Because we are a border state, we are inundated. How many people can Texas support given how many people are coming?
All of us at one point through our families were immigrants to this state. Some 10,000 years ago, some brought against their will.
But is there a breaking point?
We haven't come close to what that point is. What is broken right now is the fact that people are not coming here legally. There is not that safe, legal, orderly path that I'm talking about.
Are you saying that everybody who crosses the border should become a citizen?
Absolutely not. I'll give you an example. For those who petition for asylum in this country, they're now waiting 6 years. I say, let's get that down to 6 weeks. If the answer is yes, welcome to America. And if the answer is no, you must return to your home country. No question about it. We are a nation of laws. We're going to make sure that you and everyone here follows them.
You say you want to raise the minimum age of buying an assault weapon. How are you going to do that in a Republican-dominated legislature if you're governor?
23 days after the horrific shootings at Marjory Stoneman Douglas in Florida, 23 days, the Republican governor and legislature raised the age to 21. Since then, mass shootings with weapons of war have declined by 80%.
But Beto, that's Florida. In Texas, you know what the feelings are about raising the age. How are you going to convince a legislature to do that?
Most Texans agree with it. And my point about Florida is there's nothing about being a Republican that precludes you from common sense and doing the right thing at the right time. Those families in Uvalde, the families here, Santa Fe High School, families across the state of Texas want us to take action. Raising the minimum age, a red flag law, universal background checks, safe storage for weapons in our homes. These are common sense things that Republicans, gun owners, Democrats, independents, everyone in this state accepts. The only thing and the only person standing in our way right now is Greg Abbott.
There are lawmakers in Austin who would disagree with you. The very lawmakers you'd have to convince to raise the minimum age.
I bet you we can get a majority of them to do the right thing. There aren't a lot of grounds for progress on this issue, but those 4 issues that I just mentioned, a vast majority of Texans agree. That will allow us to defend the Second Amendment and better protect the lives of our children in those classrooms.
Let's talk about Roe v. Wade, which allowed states, I believe, to regulate abortions after 24 weeks. You supported Roe v. Wade. Is 24 weeks the limit for you in terms of women getting an abortion?
I think Roe versus Wade, which was the standard in this country for nearly 50 years, standard in Texas until Greg Abbott signed into law the most extreme abortion ban, is a standard that we should return to. That standard, by the way, was won and set by Texas women. Jane Roe, Sarah Weddington, Linda Coffey, her 2 attorneys. That is something that Texas women have decided that they should be able to make personal, private, very often painful decisions on their own without government intervention.
Do you understand the argument from many people, men and women, who say, we want to protect the rights of the unborn?
I absolutely do. And I would never attempt to persuade someone to do anything that was against their faith or their beliefs or what they know to be true. But what I also know is that 85% of our fellow Texans disagree with Greg Abbott's extreme abortion ban. 78% of Republicans disagree with that extreme abortion ban. That means to me that there is common ground there. There's some room for consensus and, yes, compromise. To your point, no 2 people on this issue are going to agree on every point all the time. So let's find out where we do agree and make some progress.
If the percentages you just quoted are true, then how did this get passed?
You have an extreme minority in the state of Texas, really representative of the Republican primary, that is deciding outcomes for all of us. I don't think we're a red state. I don't think we're a blue state. We are more than anything a non-voting state. My challenge, my opportunity is in visiting Rice today or TSU or University of Houston last week is to help turn out those who can decide the outcome of this election. The true, real majority of Texas that we have yet to hear from and whose votes have yet to be counted. They need to turn out November 8th so we can win this and get us back on the right track.
Recently, there was a DPS trooper who showed up in Uvalde on the day of the shooting, then was later hired by the Uvalde School District as a police officer while she was under investigation with DPS. How does that happen?
It happens when you have a governor who has yet to accept accountability, who is not interested in pursuing justice. 19 weeks after that shooting, not a thing has changed to make it any less likely that any other child will meet the same fate as those kids.
He just appointed a school security chief for all of the state of Texas.
We now know there were 91 Texas Department of Public Safety troopers on the other side of an unlocked door, some for more than 70 minutes, while there were still children and teachers alive. There has yet to be a full understanding of what happened and why it happened, who's responsible. And as Greg Abbott said to the question asked by another interviewer in Dallas a few weeks ago, there's got to be accountability up and down the ballot. That accountability starts with our governor.